Hello everyone, my name is Protesilaos, also known as Prot. In this video I want to show you how to contribute to core Emacs. The requirements are a bit different than what you may be used to with newer programs or with proprietary Git forges. Emacs is a program that has been around for almost half a century and it thus has some unique requirements that we want to conform with in order to make quality contributions to this wonderful piece of software. As with every project, you start by getting its source code. And the source code of Emacs is hosted on the Savannah website. And over there, you will find a web page that gives you the shell command that you want to invoke in order to get a clone, a copy of the source code of Emacs. There are also instructions for members, but generally you don't need those unless you have or you plan to commit changes directly to Emacs. We won't consider that case. We will assume that you are not a member. But just for you to know, members are contributors who are trusted, who have a proven track record of changes that are reliable, and who have right access to Emacs. They have provided the SSH keys to the Savannah website and that sort of thing. For example, I am a member because my Modus themes are built into Emacs. So when I need to make changes to the Modus themes, I commit the changes outright. But when I want to make changes to some other part of Emacs, such as what I did a bit earlier before the video, I have to follow the procedure that everybody else must follow. And this is the procedure I want to show you how to do. So you will get the source, and then you will be in a directory listing here, such as the one I am now looking at. This is the source code of Emacs inside of the built-in file manager of Emacs, dired or dred. Inside of this, you will find a file called contribute. And you want to read this file because it includes a section called Getting Involved with Development. This is the title of this section, and this gives you an overview of what you need to do to contribute to Emacs. I won't go through all the technicalities here, rather I will show them to you in practice. The one thing that really matters here is the legal side of things, which is about copyright assignment to the Free Software Foundation. There is a form here that is linked to, and you will visit this link. And this form looks like this. This is the link. I opened it, and you have to fill in this form, and you will send it to the email address over here, and you will exchange emails with the clerk of the Free Software Foundation, and you will get the process done via email within around a week or so. Copyright assignment to the Free Software Foundation is a requirement for all non-trivial changes. This means that the change must be, if the change rather is greater than 12 lines of cumulative substantive changes, then you have to assign copyright to the Free Software Foundation. The reason this is a requirement is so that the FSF has a strong legal footing when it comes to defending GNU Emacs, when it comes to the enforcement of Emacs's license, the GNU General Public License. And they want to have this assurance, they want to have this mechanism in place because of the importance of GNU Emacs in the GNU project and by extension the wider free software community. Emacs is one of the flagship programs of free software of the GNU project. It is one of the great achievements of free software. So of course we have to take good care of it. You will fill in this form and you will be done with the legal side of things. So then you are ready to write some code. You will go and you will make changes to your files. This is the patch that I prepared earlier about an hour ago, and I sent this, and we will see exactly what I did. So you will go and you will make changes to the files that you are interested in, and then you will check the status buffer. This is my Git, but instead of showing you my Git, let's assume that we don't have that installed. You will do mx vc-dir root like this. This is the command vc-dir-root. And you will be in a buffer like this one that will produce a list of all the modified files. And when you are over a file, you can do mx vc-diff. You see the command over there, and this will show you the corresponding set of differences. Once you have made the changes to the file, you want to announce them, meaning that you want to document these changes in the news file that is distributed with every new version of Emacs. In case you don't know what the news file is, the news file is what you get when you do Control H and the letter N, which calls the command, as you can see on the mode line. You will see here Control H N calls the command view Emacs news. And this is how every user of Emacs should learn about changes made to the program they use. You get a list of all the changes made here. And as a contributor, you want to make sure that your changes are announced in the same way. Since I am here just to go on a tangent, if you want to read news about the previous version of Emacs, you can just call the command with a numeric prefix argument, for example 29, and then you will call the command, and this will show you the changes for Emacs version 29. So there is that. But at any rate, as a contributor, you want to write changes in the news file so that everybody knows what you did. We will do then mx project find file. We see here project find file, just like that. We do that and we want to search for news. Notice that there are lots of news files. There is one file that is called just news, and then there are other files that are news followed by a numeric suffix. The others are the news entries for previous versions of Emacs, previously released versions, major version, whereas the current news item is the one that is just called news. So you want to check this file and to write your changes here. One thing to consider before writing any changes is this temporary note that you see at the top of the file, which is telling you about how to mark up your changes, so the heading that you will write. If you add the 3+ signs, then it means that you have updated all the relevant documentation in the manuals. Otherwise, if you have the 3- signs, it means that you think you don't need to update the manuals. Of course, you will send this to the maintainers and they will tell you what they think about it. But once you have that, you want to go over the headings like this, and you want to cycle through their visibility states to get to a listing such as this one, and then you want to search for something that is relevant to what you made. If there is something like that, you will just add your changes below that heading. In my case, I made a change that is related to shell mode, to MX shell. So I wrote my entry here. I believe it is this one. So I wrote this just like that. And then once you have your changes, you will save this and you will go again to vc dir root, and now you will have the files that you modified right there. And you can do a vc root diff to see the diff of all the files that you modified. Once you are ready, you will mark those files inside of VC. Now I am using VC, and you will see why I'm doing it this way. And you will invoke the command VC next action, bound to V by default. The reason I am doing it like this is, I will show you right away, is because we want to write the changelog entry. So in the summary line, you will use the imperative voice, and you will describe your change succinctly yet sufficiently. So for example, something like this, change the stuff, is wrong. You don't do this, never. You will have to say something like add bookmark handler for Emacs shell, something like this. This is straight to the point, and in a few words it tells us exactly what this is about. So you will do that. You don't need to fill in the author field if you have configured Git properly, then you are already a known author. Otherwise, you will add it over there. But basically, the author there is used if you want to make a commit in the stead of another person. And once you write the summary line, you want to be in the body of the commit message and type Control-C, Control-W. You can see the name of the command that this calls, log edit generate changelog from diff. What this does is it goes through the diff hunks, the diff hunk headings over here, and it checks what this is about, and it produces, using some heuristics, it produces a so-called changelog, the skeleton of a changelog entry. The changelog is something that Emacs uses. There are files called changelog files, and Emacs uses this to keep a record of all the changes made to the project. Now, you may think, why not rely on the Git history? Isn't that enough? For a project such as Emacs that has been around for almost half a century, it is a good idea to always have a fallback, to always have an alternative in case Git disappears or changes dramatically or something like that, so that they are not reliant on a single piece of software like that. Maybe there will be a better version control system in the future, so why not switch to it if possible? At any rate, you want to follow this. So in the changelog, you will have entries that correspond to the files that you modified, and then inside of each file, as in this case, you will have changes that correspond to the individual form that was introduced. So in the news, I want to say here, announce the bookmark handler for the shell. And here in the changes below, because they are, let me write them here. So the first one has to do with the change to shell mode. In my case, you can see here, I am modifying the shell mode. And what I want to say here is, for example, add buffer local variable for, and then it's a bookmark make record function. So you want to say that. And for the other changes, it's a whole new section, so I don't want to document them individually. Instead, I will come here, I will create a new line, and I will type meta-q to format all these into a single line. And then here I will say add new section to handle bookmarking, just like that. And I am ready to commit my changes, Control-C, Control-C. And now I can do VC root log right here. I want to print the root log. This is the name of the command, VC print root log. And now I can see that my change is at the top over here, and I want it to be the newest change. Remember, you always want to pull from the project just to be sure that you are on the latest version. So now that my change is the latest change, I want to follow what the contribute file is telling me, namely to use the format patch command that I see over here. There it is, you see it right there. And here, this is something that you will do on the command line, project shell, let's call this. Project shell, just like this. I already did this earlier, actually. Project shell, and you will want to call this command. I won't actually call it now. And what this command will do is it will create a new file that contains the patch. Just to say about the -1, this is relative to the head of the branch that you are modifying. If you have made one commit, this is the one commit that will be turned into a patch. If you have made 2 commits, then you want to do -2 and so on. Okay? But once you are done with this, you will have a file such as this one. And this is actually the patch that I sent earlier. You can see over here the time I sent that, and you can see on my mode line what time is now. So I sent this earlier, so let's see what I did. Once you have the patch file or the patch files, you want to do Emacs report Emacs bug. You will see it like that. Emacs report Emacs, Emacs report Emacs bug. And you will do that, and as the subject of the bug report, you want to give it this subject line over here that you have from the patch, and you will be in a view such as this one. You can read about what this is all here, but generally when you are sending patches, you are not actually reporting a bug, but it all goes to the bug tracker. But because you are not reporting a bug, you can actually delete all that text. Let me show you how much it is. You can delete all of this. You don't need all of that. And you will just attach the patch. If you have not set up email inside of Emacs, no problem, no stress. You just want to make sure that you are sending an email to this email address, and the subject line will be something like this. Okay, so the version of Emacs that you are modifying, and then the subject line. In this case, it is a patch, so you want to have the patch keyword there, and you will say something like, dear maintainers, and then you will describe what this is about, like, I noticed that shell.dl does not have a bookmark handler. I added one patch attached, for example, something like that. What do you think? Something like this, and then you will say all the best, my name, blah blah blah. Okay, and you will send this to the Emacs bug tracker. At that point, you will receive an automated response telling you the number of the bug report, and you will be informed that the maintainers will get back to you, and you will receive an email from them, and then you can contribute to that discussion and basically act based on their feedback. If your patch is okay, the maintainer will install the patch right away. Otherwise, they will ask you for further changes. So there is that. I won't do this step because I already did it earlier. So yes, there is that. And with this, you see how you are contributing to Emacs. Just in case you are curious, let me be here and let me do a hard reset. So just in case you are curious about how, let me see, origin master, okay. About how to apply patches. This is not relevant, but since we are here, we can just look into that very quickly. You will have a file, okay, that contains a patch. And you want to simply be on the command prompt and do git am and then the path to the file. In this case, it is a relative path, but I could also give it the full path like this, and you will do git am and the path to the patch, and it applies it. And once it applies it, it is recorded in the Git history just like that. Of course, I want to keep it there right now because it is actually a change I made. I am waiting for the maintainers to tell me what they think about it, and if everything is okay, I can just push the changes myself since I have write access. But nevertheless, this is the etiquette. I have to ask other maintainers what they think, other developers what they think, so that we proceed in accordance with the principle of consensus, or at the very least that others know what we are doing here. Okay, so this is all for now, folks. Thank you very much for your attention. Hopefully you get an idea into how we contribute to Emacs. I understand this is a procedure that has multiple steps and you need to get familiarized with it, you need to get used to it. But I think that on the balance, given the fact that Emacs is a special program in the free software world, and not only, I think that those high standards, those highly demanding requirements, I think that on the balance, they are good to have. Not to say, of course, that the procedures could not be streamlined or other improvements could not be made, but generally speaking, I think it's good to have a certain standard in place. That's all for now, folks. Thank you very much for your attention. Goodbye and take care.